Good morning or good afternoon, folks, wherever you are, which time zone you are. My name is Vishal Kular. I'll be your host for the day today, and joined with me is Uday, who is the practice manager at Evosys, in charge for our manufacturing and distribution industry vertical. And this is a Evosys event, and we are also working closely with Oracle to showcase how Oracle solutions help in the warehouse and distribution industry. Let's start with an introduction quickly, a little bit about Evosys, and then we'll get into the solution. Uday, if you can go to the next slide. Okay. Quick introduction about Evosys. There are three unique value we bring to the table. The first one being customer experience. Since the advent of cloud and before that, we've been supporting a number of on-prem customers. We've taken more than 1,000 plus customers over to the cloud journey successfully. And they've been across a number of industry, but if we take a deeper dive into just the manufacturing and distribution customers, we've taken in excess of 75 plus customers over to the finish line. They're crossing a number of industry, even though when we say manufacturing and distribution, we've taken all the way from high tech to consumer goods and whatnot, customers that are happily using the Oracle solution. Our depth of geographic reach goes across pretty much all the continents. We do have a significant presence in not only in North America, but across a number of regions, and a strong consultant base to support all sort of customers. This is a quick sampling of the different customers we've taken over to the cloud journey. They're anywhere from 100 million in revenue to 10 billion in revenue, and cover a broad gamut of industries, anywhere from high-tech equipment manufacturers to consumables such as milk industries, over to including some of the core manufacturing industries as well. Next slide, Uday. So before we get into the solution, it's always good to understand, even though we keep saying manufacturing, it's a broad term, there are quite a different type of roles within the industry. A lot of times, a manufacturer may not be the one who may be shipping out the goods. So typically we see these, I would say, 6 roles that will require unique solutions for each of their businesses. So as an example, logistics, they are in the business of shipping and getting the products out to the customer in the most efficient way. Solutions that may be relevant, the challenges that may be quite unique to them may be quite different from customers who are just, in the retail segment. And you'll see some of those in our solutioning as we walk through that. So having said that, I'll invite Uday to take us through the journey. Oh, and last but not least, we are offering customers a complimentary assessment of their back office ERP applications. What this is, we go in and we do a soup to nuts analysis of your, not only just, it's not focused on manufacturing, because we typically see financials, procurement, they're all interlinked to the manufacturing space. So we do a soup to nuts assessment, and we come back with a set of recommendations on how they can improve their business operations. I would encourage people to use the polling feature within the Zoom capability to maybe just indicate their interest if they would be interested in this complimentary service. Maybe a quick 10 seconds on the polling mechanism that you see. And you'll see within your menu on the Zoom, there is a place to put in your response. Okay. All right. So let's move on. And Uday, back to you.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Vishal. So first of all, before we talk about any solutions or any systems, we wanted to highlight some of the key industry challenges that distributors and warehouse organizations they face day in and day out. And here are a few key challenges that we believe everybody faces, and that we believe Oracle solutions can help you overcome. So to talk about a few, like these days we know that the product life cycles are constantly shrinking. So in almost every industry, we see a lot of new products are being introduced in a fairly quick amount of time. Like if I just mention or talk about cell phones, uh, it's hardly 6 months when you start getting new models rolling out. And in these unprecedented times, there are totally unpredictable lead times. So your lead times can vary a lot based on the product region that you are dealing with, and several other things. And they have started to really get unpredictable at times. On top of it, the organizations are constantly trying to manage new kinds of partner networks. So we have seen a growth in lot of EDI integrations and operations across the board, vendor managed inventory, consignments, and third party logistics. So there are all kind of trading partner relationships that organizations are getting into day by day, and then bringing them into their ERP systems, making sure that everything is connected and well coordinated. There are lots of challenges around that area as well. uh, we see a lot of unexpected surprises in demand, supply, and operations recently. And one of the key challenges, of course, that organizations are still using fragmented systems and their processes are often disintegrated. So there is still a lot of manual data entry and handovers across systems that are not properly integrated or which are not on a single platform, which inevitably bring in the process challenges. uh, Along with all of that, there is a lot of complexity involved in the entire value chain process. And sometimes organizations, when they are trying to build systems, they want to do the best, and they inherit certain complexities. But what we have seen customers fail to understand is that there is an added cost to complexity. So there is a certain cost when we are trying to deal with a lot of fragmented systems, disintegrated processes, and on top of it we add a lot of complexity. We want to be flexible to respond to market changes, but oftentimes that is one of the most important challenge that we face. Market conditions are really changing very rapidly these days, and the systems are not flexible enough to be able to adopt to these changes as soon as we would want. uh, a lot of micro supply chains are also coming in. So initially we saw the concept of localization and then globalization, but of late with this disruption, right, with this lockdown and COVID situation, what we see is organizations, they now rely on a lot of micro supply chains. So instead of the traditional hub and spoke model, right, they would want a lot of a multi-echelon structure and a lot of micro supply chains managing certain regions and being self-sufficient. There are also a lot of specialized tools, a lot of ERP systems, cloud, on-premise. There are several options available, and oftentimes when organizations they try to pick up specialized products pertaining to their industry, there is a lot of digital overwhelm that may actually hamper the organization's productivity. And there are several compliance and sustainability requirements as well. So these are a few challenges that we see organizations face day in and day out. And today we are going to talk about how some of our Oracle Cloud applications can help you with these. Moving on, like, how do organizations today adjust to this new normal? So last year, after the outbreak of COVID-19, a lot of things have changed. The way businesses were being operated, it has completely changed. And there are a few recommended actions, across these four areas that we see the organizations need to adopt in order to adjust to this new normal. Talking about how to manage their demand, we see that there is a certain need to reset the sales and operation planning processes, right? They cannot continue the way they were being done before. And there is a need to reprioritize based on product profitability or customer segmentation, and again looking at which customers hold a priority. We need to look at all the risks, actions, issues, and dependencies, right? And really revamp the whole demand management and demand planning piece after this new normal. The same way on the inventory side, right? We need to refocus on our inventory building based on the demand planning. We need to readjust our lead times and stocking profiles. How much inventory should the organization hold? As I was talking earlier, we need to start looking into multi-echelon inventory models and micro supply chain models. And yeah, there are a lot of re-engineering required in the traditional processes to able to maintain inventory accurately. Same thing goes for the production assets as well. We need the production assets to be an active input into our demand and supply planning, right? And there is a greater need to do the readiness health check for our key production assets, since a lot of new constraints are now there. People can't travel as often. Maintenance and overhauling materials that used to be sourced from countries like China or from different parts of the world, there are certain additional considerations that need to go into that planning process as well. And last but not the least, in terms of distribution and logistics, right, there is a need to be able to pre-book, secure, and hedge our transportation capacity. Of course, there are a lot of changes day in and day out in the distribution and logistics processes. A lot of new compliance and screening requirements are coming into the place. So all in all, a lot of this is changing, and it is going to be a challenging time to adjust to this new normal that is going to continue for quite some time. Now, moving on from there, let's talk about modern day demand management. So what do planners typically need to do, right? Basically, if we break it down, a planner's job is divided into these four high level objectives. First is to cut down on inventory shortage as much as possible. And what we have seen, the common causes for inventory shortage are usually under forecasting, non-collaborative promotion planning. There is a lot of uncertainty at the vendor side, and there may be improper distribution planning. And the mitigative action is to get started with a more collaborative planning. Involve your vendors, involve all your stakeholders, and make sure that we are able to manage the inventory shortage. uh, Another objective is to reduce improper capacity utilization. So a lot of times this is being caused because of improper planning of resources. We don't know what our WIP material is. We don't have breakdown or planned maintenance details, and oftentimes it's just plain scheduling errors and challenges. uh, we also want to avoid inventory surplus at the same time, right? We don't want a lot of carrying costs on our inventory. So it should not happen that, in order to tackle the inventory shortage challenges, we do over forecasting and, again, improper distribution where we need to carry a lot of inventory and costs. And on top of all this, right now, what is the most important is to do a proper segmentation within our portfolio of products, right? So ABC planning and categorization, a proper segmentation of our markets and customers, right? So which customers are truly profitable and which markets are truly profitable, and how do we want to allocate our demand and supply percentages to which customers and which regions. So these are the four major objectives that planners are trying to achieve. And how Oracle can help them is, so Oracle Cloud has a very robust demand planning application available, right? So the demand management, it helps you to sense, predict, and then finally shape your demand forecasts, right? Some of the key features available is, so you can capture your internal and external demand signals. You can connect with multiple applications, and you can import your shipment history or customer feedbacks and stuff like that. So you can finally segregate and plan on internal as well as external demand. The ability to be able to dynamically segment and analyze, so pretty much real time you can adjust your segmentation rules, right? Segmentation based on products, based on customers, based on regions, and you can analyze in a near real time fashion. You can create a predictive forecast. So Oracle demand management, it comes with out of the box 16 proprietary algorithms that take seasonality and other kinds of factors into consideration, and they can provide you with a predictive forecast which then can be adjusted later by the planners based on their understanding. We can enforce a segmented inventory policy, right? You can collaborate within the teams. So using the Oracle application itself, you can bring in the production planners, you can bring in your suppliers, you can bring in your buyers, and you can actually do a much more collaborative planning to finalize your demand. And finally, you can approve a demand plan which helps you to respond faster to your market, improve your forecast accuracy, right? Reduce your inventory investment and improve customer service. So some of the key features, again, as we just discussed, you can manage multiple demand signals, you can dynamically segment your demand, you can tailor your policies by segments, right? So if you want to have different policies based on different segments, you can do it. You can even forecast for new product launches, right? So we talked about how new product introduction is a norm now, and it is done almost every quarter or semi-annually these days. You can do what if analysis, and you can create your multiple scenarios where you can simulate your demand planning. And the built-in intelligence, the proprietary algorithms that Oracle provides out of the box in order to better forecast your demand. Once you have your demand forecasted and planned, right, Oracle also provides end-to-end supply planning functionality. So once you have your demand management module with an approved demand forecast and an approved demand plan, you can do your sales and operations planning, supply planning, and supply chain collaboration with your 3PLs, with your vendors who are managing your inventory, your consign partners, and you can do all of this in a single application, which helps you to unify your planning processes. You can plan across the entire supply chain, right? So you are doing sales and operations planning, supply planning, and your collaborations in the same place. You can monitor your supply problems in a near real-time fashion and then respond to those changes immediately, and adopt any new processes and policies that may be required. So you can actually plan, monitor, and optimize, right, your supply planning. You can simulate what if scenarios, identify any plan changes that needs to be applied, and instantly execute new plans. Now, Oracle has come up with a new model of integrated business planning and execution. So in a typical organization, what we see is there is a separate planning department, right? So there is product planning, there is sales and operations planning, marketing planning, and these guys are responsible for overall planning processes. Then there is an operational division that are responsible for execution of that plan, right? And then finally there is management and analytics that help you optimize the plan. So what Oracle brings is an ability to do all of this in a much more collaborative way in a single platform application, where all these processes are interconnected and actually feeding the necessary information to make collaborative and collective decisions. So the planning piece sits at the center of it. As you are able to see, right, you have your sales and operations planning, your demand planning, and supply planning. It is natively out of the box integrated with all the other Oracle applications, right? So it's integrated with the enterprise performance management, your sales modules, your order management, global order promising, procurement, right? And you can even integrate with your suppliers and customers to bring them on board with your overall planning process. On top of this, Oracle has come out with the IoT, machine learning, and pattern recognition. So while so far this whole process was occurring in a silo, now Oracle provides us with the ability to read real-time signals and real-time events happening on uh, our IoT and machine learning applications to better optimize and adjust our plans and execute it in a real-time fashion. So far what we discussed was more on the planning side, right? And once you have your plans in place, you also need a tool that is capable enough to handle all your warehouse operations and mobility requirements. So some of the key metrics that we generally see in the warehouse and distribution industry, right? So we need to reduce our overall order lead time, right? We want to reduce back order rates. We want to improve our picking accuracy, right? We want to reduce picking and packing costs. Order cycle times, monitoring order cycle times and efficiently reducing it is one of our key metric and performance indicator, right? Tracking receiving cycle times and reducing it, tracking put away cycle times and reducing it. So how does Oracle application help you to do all this? So Evosys has developed an application called the Warehouse 360, right? So Warehouse 360 is a best of breed mobility system. It sits on top of the Oracle inventory application, and basically it allows you to perform all your inventory transactions on a mobile device. So it also provides with offline operational capabilities, right? So if you have warehouses where network connectivity is a challenge, the Warehouse 360 can help you transact in an offline mode, and as soon as the network connectivity is established, it can post transactions back to the Oracle inventory application. It provides you with an enhanced worker productivity, right? And it is a very simple, easy to use application with a very streamlined user interface. Some of our customers, they have already implemented the Warehouse 360 and they are pretty happy about it. A few screenshots for you to, see how simple and easy to use the user interface is. It is very intuitive, and you can run it on any Android based mobile device. It also comes with native barcode and label printing functionality. So we do provide the label designing and label printing functionality, within the application itself. And as you can see on the slide, there are various standards that we, support out of the box. So almost all of these standards are supported natively within the application, and you can design your own sample labels within the application itself. So from here,
Perfect.
this is about the products. We'll move on and see how you can transition to cloud.
Great. And thanks Uday for that. And certainly, running a mobile app in today's world is table stakes. But just to step back, what we showed you at a super high level was how do you really improve your ability to not only forecast, but efficiently use your resources internally, and then leverage some of the innovative capabilities, whether it's mobile or whether it's warehouse management, to really optimize your investment on your inventory, on your distribution, and your shipping as well. Now, I wanted to pivot the conversation to how do we get you to that solution? And the next slide illustrates some of the different modular ways that Oracle has created. All of these boxes, they represent a module or a business function. And a lot of customers, maybe in their digital journey, they may not be able to completely rip and replace. And there are certainly, some of the solutions that can be implemented to solve some of the niche use cases. And those are in the blue on the left-hand side. So whether it's supply chain planning that allows you to really get a nice crystal ball to your planning, both, supply and demand, whether it's optimizing your warehouse management. If you're in the product lifecycle management, how do you really innovate using the PLM capabilities? And then if you're in the shipment distribution, you certainly need the transport management. And if you're going across the borders, you need the global trade management as well. All of these blue boxes are modular in nature. In addition, they're also ERP agnostic. So if you have a non-Oracle ERP system running, all of these capabilities can really be implemented without having you to replace your ERP with the entire Oracle ERP system. But in case you are leaning towards really doing end-to-end optimization and you're looking for a transformation, there are all the way from soup to nuts, from financials to procurement. There are modules that you can implement at your pace, meaning it could be a big bang, or it could be a phased approach where you layer different capabilities and business functions at your pace. So overall, the message on this slide is there are applications that you can use immediately. They can be implemented in a couple of weeks that you can start getting the value on your investment. Or if you're looking at entire digital transformation, there are abilities for us to really deploy those capabilities at your pace. So that's all we have from a product solutioning perspective, and then also from how do we roll out the solution in the most effective way. Okay, all right. So we're getting to the near end of the presentation, and we have a chat feature on. If you have a question, I would love for you to please, shoot us a question on the chat, and we're happy to answer. And as you type in your question, all in all, Evosys and Oracle, we collaborate together. We ensure, customers see really success with their investment on their Oracle investment. And Evosys can be the right business partner to help you in that journey. Just checking in the chat if there is a question. Okay, so yes, we have a question. Is Warehouse 360 Evosys product?
Yes, it is an Evosys product which sits on top of the Oracle Inventory Cloud. So, they kind of go hand in hand, and you would need the Oracle Inventory Cloud implemented to then use the Warehouse 360 for your mobility needs.
Yeah, and it's quite a complementary product. And considering manufacturing customers, they need mobile capabilities, absolutely table stakes. So it's a product that we built, and it complements the Oracle back office ERP solution and works really natively hand in hand with the Oracle Cloud solution. Yeah, checking if there is any other question. Okay, so I think I'm not seeing any more questions, and we're at the tail end. But for the folks on the call, we will send you a copy of the presentation, and would love to have another follow-up dialogue on if there are any opportunities where we can help you optimize your back office functions. So have a great rest of the day, and we'll be in touch shortly. Thank you for your time.